Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the global door number TC4300 series door closer. This is a grade 1 heavy duty sort of door closer that's going to be appropriately applied to applications where you have larger or heavier than standard doors. You have applications that call for a greater amount of volume through the door, more cycles, or you have an application that you want to have a higher performing, heavier duty, rated for a greater amount of use type of door closer. The TC4300 complies with all of that. Available in aluminum, available in the dark bronze as well. This is grade 1 certified, and that means that it's tested to 1,000,000 cycles, which is double grade 2. Grade 2 is 400,000 or 500,000, I forget. Well, grade 1 is 1,000,000. So 1,000,000 cycles this closer is tested to. It's quite heavy. The closer itself, well, at least with its box, weighs 9 pounds. So it's a substantial door closer in terms of its weight. It's non-handed, fully reversible, comes tri-packed from the factory, meaning you can install it in any of the 3 common ways to install a door closer. There are others that can be accommodated. You might need a drop plate for doing that, which are available. Multi-size adjustment capability from 1 all the way through to 6. Okay, so that 6 is an incredibly stiff spring tension that would be, that you would use on a much heavier or wider door. 3 independent regulating valves, which are typical. The control is going to be over the sweep, over the latch, and this has a back check option. The back check is a valve that allows you to control the door better when the door gets out to about 90 degrees to prevent maybe wind taking the door and pushing it out even further. The back check valve is specifically there to arrest that from happening. Okay, it's not a dead stop and it's not a foolproof way to prevent that, but it is there, and you can noticeably tell that there is a back check sort of feature to it. Again, it's tri-packed, regular arm mount, top jam mount, and parallel arm mount. All the parts come available. This closer we have that I'm going to show you in a moment is the regular arm, which includes a parallel arm, but you can also do specific arm types as well, which would be a hold open. It would be their cush style arm, which would be a type of arm that you're going to see installed in an application where you'll have a point in the hold open arm. Pardon me, it's not a hold open arm. You'll have a threaded post that when the arm gets to a specific degree of opening, that post keeps the arm from going any further and therefore acting as a reasonable dead stop. So that's what the cush is. You can also get the arm as a heavy-duty version, which is a fixed, rigid sort of parallel arm installation. And you can also obtain the cush arm with a hold open as well, which is a large T-style handle on that cush arm. This is how you'll do it. Also, I think you'll be able to get a standard hold open arm as well. Let's check that. No, apparently it's only the cush style, so it will have the dead stop along with the T-handle for the hold open release. It's a spring-loaded ball that's in there, but then you'll turn the handle to get it to release. That sort of arm is very commonly seen in schools where there's significant volume applications on those doors, and a cush hold open style arm is very typical, albeit on non-fire rated doors naturally. So the TC4300, I'm going to show you all the constituent parts here. Just starting at the top of the package, you're going to have the parallel arm bracket that will be used for one of the 3 methods of installation that we'll talk about in a moment. You're going to have a screw package, you'll have machine bolts, you'll have wood screws, you'll have all the other ancillary screws for attaching all the pieces and parts together. This is, like I said earlier, a regular arm model that we have here. Got the main arm, the forearm, and then the slide track. That screw is in there. You'll obviously remove that, and that will sit in there just like that. Okay. This closer features a cover, which is how this model comes. as standard. It's a plastic cover. So this is what you're going to install. And again, available in aluminum and in dark bronze. Okay. And of course, the closer body itself. You'll probably notice that it appears to be a fairly familiar sort of design. Okay. You'll note that on the face of the body, there are two valves here. Your latch and your sweep valve are here, and we'll identify that in a moment. Then your back check valve is the one that's here. Actually, they're called out right on the cylinder, which is handy. So the latch valve is here, and the latch is really the 0 to 10 degree sort of range of the closing cycle. The sweep is everything from about 90 or until the back check kicks in to about 10 degrees. Okay, and that would be the second valve. And of course your back check valve again is here. This is a non-handed universal style closer. You're going to install it however it needs to be installed. The fact of the matter is there needs to be spindles on either side because you can install it in a top jam mount as well. Let's begin to go over those different installation aspects. There are links below this video to documents. The one that's really the most important is going to be the instructions. And the instructions on door closers typically have 2 pages and therefore 4 sides. One side is always the general parameters of a door closer. How you adjust it, what you set, anything important that needs to be said immediately. And then the other 3 pages would be, one will be a regular arm mount, the next will be a top jam mount, and generally the last page is the parallel arm mount. So after you review the first summary page, which is generally the first page, sometimes the last page, you then select the method of, from that page, you select the method by which you're going to attach it to the door and frame. Okay, so looking at the summary page, the first initial page, the general notes tell you that the closer is non-handed and designed to meet entrance accessibility requirements, meaning it's handicap compliant. This closer will operate at a reduced opening force so that it is ADA compliant. Before the installation, determine the hand of the door first. Then select the degree of opening. So you need to identify the hand of the door. You need to know what that is. That will be important or obvious in a moment. You need to know the degree of opening that you want to accomplish. Just have that value in your head so that you know what you're going to do. Know those 2 things, hand of the door and how and the degree of opening. Obviously, so you would have or will be selecting the method of installation. Regular arm is where the door closer body is mounted on the door itself. The arm is mounted on the header and it's mounted on the pull side. That's important. The top jam, less common installation, is where the body is mounted on the header, the arm to the door, on the push side. The third method is the parallel arm method, where the body is mounted to the door. You'll incorporate the parallel arm bracket. The body is on the door on the push side, so it's the opposite of the regular arm. Okay? Regular arm body mounted on pull side, parallel arm body mounted on push side. So you're always going to try to determine how you're going to install it immediately, and conditions will dictate how you do that. If you have an exterior hollow metal door like a 3'6" or a 4-foot wide door, you're going to want the door closer on the inside of the building. You wouldn't install it in the exterior, although I've seen it done naturally. That is going to dictate either a top jam mount or a parallel arm mount. But typically a top jam mount is just simply not done. The body is put onto the door itself. So a parallel arm is going to be most common. If it's an interior door and it's a left-hand or a right-hand door, you very likely might want to do a regular arm mount so that the door closer is on the opposite side of the door. Okay? You'll want to always, when doing a regular arm mount, consider the fact that when the body is mounted on the on the pull side of the door, and that door opens 90 degrees, if you've got a wall parallel, if it's a corridor, you're going to want to make sure that you're going to have room for that door closer body before it hits the wall. Okay. So you're going to know all three of those things: the hand of the door, the degree of opening, and what method you're going to install it. Then the very first actual thing that you do is you're going to set the tension on the cylinder as it's called out on page 1, according to the table that's there, with the included wrench. There are actually two Allen wrenches included. The small one is for adjusting the valves. Don't touch those just yet. This is going to set the spring tension. Okay, you get that in there and you're going to turn it, and that actually connects to the large spring that's inside of there. The table specifically states how many turns, counterclockwise or clockwise, you're going to engage in. This door automatically, this spring tension is going to be set for a 3-foot door. So if you're in that range, you're in good shape. If you know that you're doing a 3'6" door, turn it clockwise 10 revolutions per the table. The point of doing all that is when you get the door closer installed and you immediately test it, you want the spring tension to be compatible with the load that the door closer is being expected to handle. You don't want to have, a very light tension or a standard tension set on it if you're exposing it to a 5-foot wide interior door, which would be very uncommon, but it does. The closer is designed to handle that. So you want to set that first. Once you have that done, you probably refer to the, little diagram there regarding latch. They call it latch valve, that 0 to 10 degrees. Main speed, we'll call it the sweep, and your back check is out there. So from about 80 to 85 degrees and then out. So getting to the 3 pages of the installation, assuming you've determined the method of installation, how you're going to install it, and if you have any questions on the best way to go about doing that, feel free to reach out to us. It's likely that you have a scenario that none of the 3 standard installations work, and you're going to need a drop plate. You're going to need maybe a corner bracket or some way of making it work. You might have an archtop door, and you're going to need assistance on making that work. It could be that there is not really a solution for an installation for a door closer that you might encounter. That corner bracket, arch door, push side mount could be it, but that's very uncommon to actually encounter that. Before I get to the methods of installation, I'm a fan of this door closer. It's proven, it's tried, it's true. I have clients who install it on condo buildings, and those doors just get used all the time. I've had clients do things well outside of what they're engineered to do, meaning there's a 5-foot by 10-foot door. It's been made out of wrought iron, steel, welded right in the field, and they've installed 2 of these, one on the push side and one on the pull side. So a lot of interesting things have been done with this sort of door closer. Now, moving on to the installation aspect of this material, what you're going to encounter is the same sort of data on all 3 of the pages for installation. That means there's always going to be a dimension from the center line of the hinge, and that's considered the center line of the hinge, not the edge of the door. You're going to determine that from the center line of the hinge to where the first screw is, or the first, waypoint, meaning, so you can see on the installation where right here, it's 6 1/4 inch. That's going to be from the center line to that first hole. Now, that dimension is always going to be measured from the center line of the hinge, and that's fairly universal when it comes to installing door closers. Now, knowing the degree of opening is crucial at this point, because in most door closer installations, what you're going to find is that you'll have a dimension, and on our chart it was 6 1/4 inch. That number can change, does change, based on the degree of opening. So the closer the hinge, the smaller the distance between the hinge and that first hole, the smaller that is, generally the greater the degree of opening. Okay. With this door closer, you need to understand first that with the regular arm and the top jam arm, 120 degree max is all that it can do, because the closer physically is so large that you can't cheat it over towards the hinge any further to get that degree of opening greater. Okay, so when you are installing it, regular arm or top jam arm, you need to understand first 120 degree max, and that's called out for both regular arm and top jam. If you're good so far, then you continue. So the dimension from the center line of the hinge to that first hole is crucial. The next important dimension really, and you obviously have to install all, or prep all of these holes according to the table, but you're going to, that's the regular arm, you're going to, you've got, if you'll note on the drawing, you've got these 2 holes here and 2 holes there. And those are obviously going to coordinate with the holes for the mounting. Okay. That lateral dimension is important to get that right, but it's less crucial than the vertical dimension. The vertical dimension is called out on the table as 11/16 from the hole to the header, and then the top of the door to the, from that same dimension to the top to the hole is 11/16 as well. You're going to want to make sure that you get those holes accurately laid out. You're going to want to do a reality check on those holes with the closer, review the hand, review the method of installation. You don't want to drill a hole where it doesn't belong, because holes are generally difficult to disguise or mask once they're drilled for a door closer. And you're going to want to be sure that that vertical dimension is absolutely accurate, because if you've ever entered a door and you've heard a clanking sound as you go through it, that's generally the arm hitting it, the 2 moving pieces hitting each other. And that's because that vertical dimension isn't always accurate. And it needs to be as accurate, it needs to be completely accurate, or you will run the risk of having trouble. And by all means, after you've marked the holes and you've double checked them, center punch all of them before you pre-drill the hole, so your drill bit doesn't have a tendency to walk a little bit, and then throw your holes off as well. If you're going to do more than a couple of these, make a template immediately. Get a piece of wood and drill the locations for the holes everywhere that you need it to be, and then just simply mark. You're going to lay the dimensions out one time manually anyway. You might as well just make a template. We have templates available for sale as well, by the way. So all of the installation steps that are here are very important to review, and I'm not going to go through all of them because it's all printed here, except to say that the vertical location, crucial. Horizontal location, very important to have accurate, but less, mission critical. Getting into the top jam mount, you're going to note that the cylinder end is going to be towards the hinge for the for the regular arm and the top jam arm, but for the parallel arm, it's towards the latch. Okay, so that's a very common sort of mistake that occurs. It's shown. The tube is towards the hinge, as it is for the top jam mount, but on the parallel arm mount, it's opposite. It's towards the latch. So you're going to want to keep that in mind, because you're physically turning the body over in that sort of instance. The valves are also set. The sweep, the latch, and the back check valves are set for a typical door, 3-foot door from the factory. As you get the door installed, the closer installed, and you begin to test it, you will manipulate those valves so that you get the desired amount of closing speed. 5 to 7 seconds is typical for 90 degree to close, with the sweep and the latch being about equal amounts of time. Okay, so you can get the door closed, and then you want it to really slow down at the very end there, so that it doesn't slam, whatever the case might be. After that, the back check valve is really only going to be appropriate if you have an exterior door that swings out, so you might just leave that alone. You're going to want to turn the valve only a half of a revolution and then retest it at least twice to get the fluid reset in there per the new valve setting, and test it fully. You might find that you'll get to a point where there's very fine control, that a quarter turn will make the difference between it working and not working, and that's typical. That's very common. You'll want to save the wrenches, because over time, as the seasons change, you'll find that manipulating those valve settings is required. Air pressures change, etc. In the summertime, the windows might be open in the front of the building, and the air comes through, and that back door will close much faster. So you're going to want to change those valves a little bit. And then once everything is set, really the last final thing to do will be to take out one of the knockouts that are in the plastic closer cover and then secure it. You'll see that you've got holes here, and the screw is 2 screws are included in that package for attaching the cover, to the closer body. Okay. Global Door is a name synonymous with door closers. They also have lock sets, they have exit devices, they have some specialty door closers that you're going to see as an overhead concealed door closer. They do hinges, they do grab bars as well, and a line of storefront hardware like pivots, aluminum storefront locks, things of that nature. I wouldn't hesitate to suggest that you consider the Global Door TC4300. I have sold and installed countless models of this, and without failure, without client complaint. Any questions on the Global Door number TC4300, Grade 1 Series door closer, or any other Global Door product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.